Consumers today have become more and more connected than ever across almost every part of their lives, and they've come to expect the same level of connection to their orders. This creates a new challenge for logistics operations, how to meet these consumer expectations despite all the variables that have to be dealt with on the ground. So I'm Kevin Jones, Editorial Director with FleetOwner, and today I'm here with Cindy Brandt, Vice President of Fleet Operations at Descartes, and TJ Frazier. He's a Senior Account Executive at Descartes. And we're going to discuss what they've seen and where on the customer engagement side, what pays off, particularly for food service distributors, and get their insights and into the strategic advantage that provides for operations overall, improving retention, lowering costs, and setting up your business to be successful. So Cindy, we'll start with you. What exactly do we mean today when we're talking about customer engagement, and where does that fit into a logistics operation?
This is really all about employing proactive strategies and tactics to communicate with and involve customers during the final stage of that delivery process, right? There's a gap that exists today, kind of between communication between when the product leaves the distribution center to that end recipient, whether it's a dock door, a person's front door, whatever it might be. And when we think about what we're delivering to people, it might include stuff like real-time updates, SMS notifications, emails. It might be chat back and forth. It might be, looking at the truck on a map on your phone, or even collecting feedback about a driver or the delivery itself. But the real ultimate goal here is all about enhancing that overall customer experience while also building loyalty.
Okay, well, so Cindy, you've kind of opened the door to this. What are the main challenges that can be addressed by developing a strong customer engagement strategy?
There's a couple of really great challenges out there that this really looks at and helps solve. The first is about delivery uncertainty and just missed expectations, right? We have an expectation in our minds oftentimes of when something's going to arrive. And without more information or transparency about that delivery time, we might make things up in our head. So we want to make sure that we're setting the right expectation. Also, can we change the rate of delivery returns or rejections, right? If somebody knows something's coming, if they know what's on that order, kind of the line items of what's coming, they're a little bit more prepared to take care of everything that's there. Sometimes it's just the delivery experience and there isn't great customer satisfaction with it. Little things, providing more information can really change the way that people think about it. And then last, we're not oftentimes really collecting information about the quality of the delivery. Let's collect that information because it's not just about how much time are we spending making the delivery, but let's collect information about the driver, the state of the order, the entire delivery experience, and feed it back into our logistics network, right? How can that make routing better? Can we take some tribal knowledge and put it back into the routing system and centralize it a little bit? Knowledge is always power, right?
That's exactly it. And we're getting right to use the parlance of our times, WISMO. Where is my order? And we've got to, cut down on those calls. How have automated notifications and live tracking improved service levels?
It absolutely improves service levels. And, B2B customers now have the same expectation that we get as B2C customers, right? So now it's cutting down on cost while increasing service. So before, I might, as a customer, have to pick up the phone and say, where is my order, right? I have to proactively, as a customer, do something. Now, as a customer, I kind of sit back and wait, and I have things coming to me. The other thing that I think these distribution companies really aren't paying attention to is that a lot of these WISMO calls are actually coming from, quote unquote, inside their own four walls from their own salespeople. Why? Because they're being good salespeople and providing a higher level of service to customers by saying, hey, we double checked, your order's on the truck, we're going to make sure it gets to you, right? Well, that takes time, money, and resources to answer those internal phone calls as well. So just by, again, turning the tables, and instead of making it a reaction, making it proactive, you're exponentially increasing the service levels and freeing up your employees to do other things as well.
Very good. Well, TJ, not to leave you out of the conversation, but let's narrow things down a little bit and talk about a segment. food service operations. What are you seeing? What's going on in food service to meet these rising customer expectations?
Yeah, the biggest shift really comes from the expectations that have been adopted in the consumer space, like Cindy was talking about. Companies like Amazon, Target, other e-commerce companies. Today, you almost get that up to the minute updates on your orders from the time that you submit it to the time that it arrives at your door. So it really has become that standard that's now being communicated as a need for the enterprise and for distribution companies in the food service space. So really, a lot of that occurs, for food service companies where you're going to a customer almost every day or every other day. Restaurants, hotels, they're expecting that same level of communication. Maybe not the same level of getting an alert, every time an order touches someone else's hands, but really more of an expectation of what's happening with my delivery. If something goes wrong, I want to be alerted so I'm in communication and I feel like I'm a part of that delivery. And that way I can have my team ready to receive that order at the dock door or the receiving door, so everybody's in the loop with what's happening with that order.
Well, again, talking a little bit about those that have achieved some success here. What are some key touch points or strategies that they've used to create positive engagement?
Really, it's letting the customer know when they're supposed to get their order that day. So whether it's a pre-route notification the morning of or the night before, so that way that customer knows exactly what they should be receiving if they're getting that line item detail, and also what time they should be expecting their order for that day. When it comes to the notifications, some can be sent via an email, SMS, or working with other messaging applications like WhatsApp to provide a link to a customer portal. So that way you can understand, all right, who is my driver that day, so I can be alerted, and when they arrive, I kind of have that friendly face already connected there between the customer and the driver, understanding what's being delivered, and also being able to track the truck, kind of like that Uber-like experience. When you're getting an Uber, exactly, you can see the truck and following it along the road, so that way when it's on the way to your stop. And then also, when it comes to kind of that feedback loop, to understand how we're performing as a company and how our drivers are performing from a delivery standpoint, for first time deliveries, making sure that there's a feedback survey that's sent to the customer that they can, give a rating on how did the driver do? Did they, deliver everything properly? Did they show up to the right location? You can get those feedback surveys to understand how drivers are performing and send it out periodically as well to make sure that your customer service standards are being delivered at the highest level.
So say I'm a crusty executive at a company, and my food service transportation guy comes and says, "Hey, there's some great technology out there, great opportunities. Why should I care? What does my business benefit from improved customer engagement?"
Yeah, the biggest thing is revenue retention, right? Food service is a highly turned over business, where companies are always trying to find, hey, who's got the best, the best price. Well, if you could take price out of the equation, then it really comes down to how likely are you to go back to the company that you're working with. And if you have that open communication with your customers, that you're delivering on their expectations, but when something does go wrong, say there's traffic, say there's an accident, or we unfortunately deliver the wrong thing, if you can have that open line of communication with your customer, be proactive with that outreach and not just a constant reactive, then you're keeping that loyalty. And hopefully that would not only improve your customer revenue retention with your existing customer base, but also speaks volume to go out and be able to gain new customers and letting them know, hey, this is how we do business. We always stay engaged with you. We make sure that you're always involved with what's happening with your delivery. So that way you're aware, you can make arrangements or you can make changes, and we're right there with you the entire way.
Cindy, can you go a little deeper on that in terms of what can businesses do to be proactive and innovative with these customer engagement strategies?
The first thing is let's leverage real-time data. We provide, as part of that last mile distribution piece, a lot of real-time data when you integrate not only route planning but route execution and tracking. The second is really personalization, right? we want more and more information about what we're doing. So we're collecting a lot of data about our customers, their delivery patterns, how they actually interact with us. Let's use it to communicate with them better and more effectively. Um, the second thing that I look at a lot is really feedback, incorporating that feedback in as often as you can and as early as you can in the cycle. And it may be something as important as, hey, I really prefer that you put this in the left side of the freezer versus the right side of the freezer, which probably doesn't sound important to us, but it's very important to the customer there. Or that there's even, a new code, or I appreciate and thank the driver for something that they did, right? Let's make sure that all that information the customer is providing to us, we take not as tribal knowledge, but centralize it and incorporate it in. Third, really look at data around order and delivery preferences. There's so many great AI-based tools out there that are now allowing us to really look forward and create much better and more accurate forecasting tools, whether it's what they order, how much they order, or encouraging them to order, but also around delivery. Let's look at different pieces of data and leverage AI to calculate more accurate service times. That allows us to give much, much more precise ETA calculations to customers as well.
Very good. Well, so wrapping up, for both of you, Cindy, I'll let you go ahead and go first. What are some key consumer and technology trends to keep an eye on going forward?
I touched a little bit on it, hyper-personalization, right? The more data we get, the more we can personalize things. Customers are starting to really expect interactions that feel super tailored to them, right? Not just your name, but make a relevant recommendation to me when I'm ordering, different contextual offers that might be out there. And that's whether I'm ordering produce, steak, whatever it might be, or perhaps I'm picking my own delivery window. Customers are also really looking for experience over product sometimes. TJ talked a little bit about how there is a lot of customer churn within food service, but creating differentiation for yourself makes people stay loyal, retain that revenue, and really helps them make that choice for experience. And then third, I think a lot about digital self-service. The more that we can provide the digital frictionless experience for customers, the better it is for everybody involved. But that's a huge consumer trend that we see everywhere, right? Every restaurant we walk into has a kiosk. Why are we not letting people choose their own delivery windows, right? Let those customers schedule their own delivery windows now as well.
Very good. TJ, anything to add to wrap us up today?
Yeah, I think along the lines of flexibility in how you communicate to your customers, right? Adapting to where your customers are and meeting them there. So whether it be text or an email, phone call, or even using messaging applications like WhatsApp, meet your customers where they are, and that way you can customize that communication experience with them. And that way you're able to, like Cindy was talking about, tailor what it is that you want to send out to your customers, a customized ordering experience based on their menu options for the upcoming week, and you could provide suggestions, right? So meeting your customers where they are from a communication standpoint is really going to help drive adoption of technologies, from a customer engagement perspective.
Very good. Well, that's all we've got time for today, but thanks to you both. And thanks to everybody for tuning in. Any questions, holler at the good folks at Descartes. Thanks a lot.